As we entered into the weekend, we knew that Donald Trump was going to be meeting with the leaders of the Michigan State Republican Party with the obvious, explicit, sole goal of getting them to help him with whatever shenanigans are necessary to overturn the will of the people in Michigan, which voted overwhelmingly for Joe Biden to win. They want to just ignore that and give the Electoral College votes to Donald Trump. So these two Republicans, Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey, as well as Michigan House Speaker Lee Chatfield, traveled to meet Donald Trump for this meeting. And obviously coming out of it, there's a lot of concerns about what they talked about. Well, they were a bit mum initially. Mike Shirkey didn't answer questions at the airport. He sang a little bit from a religious hymn. So that's not terrifying at all, that your only response after having a meeting about a possible coup is you start singing stuff out of your religion. That's great. That's what I wanted. But the next day, Lee Chatfield was on Fox and Friends. This is just yesterday. And so Lee Chatfield wants to reassure everyone that this is not about a coup. Take a look.
To make that request to the president, was happy to do that. But there was this outrage that the president was going to ask us to break the law and he was going to ask us to interfere. And that just simply didn't happen, Pete. So I was happy to meet with the president, happy to talk with him and to kind of give him an update on what's going on in the state of Michigan.
So there was an update given, but this whole conspiracy that he's trying to twist your arm to disenfranchise voters, not true.
That's simply not true, Pete. I mean, when the president calls, you take that meeting.
Okay, so that is not the last video from that we're gonna play, but I just want you to understand. So Pete Hegseth is reassuring his viewers that it's just a conspiracy theory, Francesca, that Donald Trump, who is openly talking, like all of like his favorite people in media, the advisors speaking to reporters, all of them are saying this is about overturning the results.
10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Pete Hegseth wants that to happen, but just conspiracy theory, and it's not gonna happen, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, let's get to the, let's talk about the, real news, like the underground layer of child sex slaves from QAnon, like hard news, not the conspiracies, like Trump is openly trying to discredit a Democratic election before our very eyes. Conspiracy, like what?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, you only had a few seconds before that video continued. I swear to God, this is like 30 seconds after the cut of the video you just saw. Lee Chatfield goes on about that the conspiracy theory to take the popular vote and not respect it. That's not gonna happen. But maybe this will.
But the way that we have set it up here in the state of Michigan, our state law is that, as you mentioned, it is 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats. And they certify the election for whoever won the popular vote. Now, as you mentioned, the RNC and the MRP have both made a request to simply delay that certification for 2 weeks until there can be a full and complete audit done in Wayne County. Pete, we have 71% of the precincts in Wayne County. Their absentee ballots books don't match what's on the rolls. And that's very concerning. That's why the legislature, we've been doing our own investigations. We've been doing our own reviews of these reports of fraud and the reports of irregularities. And I think these need to be looked into. So Pete, as you mentioned, if there were to be a 2-2 split on the State Board of Canvassers, it would then go to the Michigan Supreme Court to determine what their response would be, what their order would be. If they didn't have an order that it be certified, well, now we have a constitutional crisis in the state of Michigan that's never occurred before, because as the federal constitution says, this is left up to the state legislatures.
Yeah.
The state legislature decided long ago to do it this way. So if this way doesn't work, obviously now we have questions that have arisen in Michigan for the very first time in our state.
You're talking about tens of thousands of votes potentially.
Okay, so we're like 45 seconds out of it's a conspiracy theory that they would ever overturn the vote. And that's not why I went to talk with Donald Trump. I went to talk to him about, well, he doesn't actually say. He doesn't say what they supposedly actually talked about. We're just supposed to fill in the blanks. And then he says, well, it's gonna come down to 2-2 Republican Democrat. And if there's a split, which means the Republicans vote against it, he's not filling that in, but that's the truth. Then it would go to the Supreme Court, and depending on what the Supreme Court says, then maybe the legislature just gets to decide who wins. But wait, you were just saying, no, nothing crazy, no coup, no stealing the election. And then he reassured Fox viewers, oh no, there's a path that results in Joe Biden not winning these votes if Republicans manipulate every step along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, say the captain of the water polo team, and the state legislature's gonna have to just like do an audit of all of Wayne counties. All the black voters. What? No, just Wayne County. No, it's not about, it's about race. It's not about, it's probably about race. Look, you can't trust them. Like, honestly, he is basically like, yeah, no, there's no coup, but here is the way we get to a coup. And now I've got to go train for my water polo championship.
Exactly. So, there it is. Like, I guess, look, if you watch the show every day, do you need to see Lee Chatfield say that? I suppose not. We were talking about the possibility that they could do something like this for 2 months before the election. It seemed like a crazy long shot because it should be. Lee Chatfield, among other Michigan state Republican leaders, has been saying for weeks since the election that we would never defy the will of the people. But what do you know? They meet with Donald Trump for the explicit purpose of overthrowing the will of the people. And now he's talking about, well, maybe it's not as simple as Donald Trump getting his butt kicked. Maybe you gotta get the Supreme Court involved, and maybe we gotta get the legislature involved to theoretically throw it to him. Now, again, as we've said many times, even if they were to do this, that by itself does not make Donald Trump president, because again, Donald Trump didn't narrowly lose this thing. He lost 306 to whatever, a gap that they had described after 2016 as landslide, blowout, historic. But it is a reminder of how fundamentally opposed to democracy this party is, that they will do this historic thing of overturning state results, even if that just has to be part of their overall plot to actually make Donald Trump get his second term.
Yeah, you gotta wonder what, I think they're just filling time. I think it's like, fill time until Pompeo and Trump launch a nuclear war on Iran, and then we'll have plenty to talk about. But like, it's like, yeah, I get your end game is overturning the will of the people and this entire election. But you're only one state, and you're actually not that important of a state at this point. So are you setting up a model? Like, what is it? So I do think it is, a Bannonite, flooding the whatever with the S words. Does that make any sense? Flooding the whatever with S words?
I sort of get what you mean. Yeah.
Whatever Bannon meant by that, just distracting people,
Yeah, maybe. And I don't know. I know which is worse substantively, that they'd be doing all of this to actually steal this election. But all of the aides talking to Washington Post reporters behind the scenes are saying, yeah, Donald Trump's just not really sure like what he's gonna do with his life after. And he's like trying to figure out, is he gonna give speeches? Is he gonna run again? And he just wants more time, and he really likes the spotlight. So he'll drag us through weeks of an attempted coup because he's not sure if he wants to do Dancing with the Stars or do speeches to corporate boardrooms.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know which
dancing.
of those is worse.
Definitely.
Oh my God, can you imagine? He just comes out and does his little thing.
Oh yeah, he'll do this, and it'll be flamenco because then you get to wear heels, so suddenly his heels won't be as weird.
And they'll still be a little bit weird. Anyway, okay, well that's one aspect of what's going on. Even you look ridiculous doing it, let alone him.
Oh come on, I make it look good. I'm about to TikTok this.
Perhaps. Oh my God, that 100 million views right there.
Like just put some maracas in my hand.
Oh God. That's the thing, you can Photoshop anything you want in, as I have seen on Twitter when he's done that in the past.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.